Okay, it's June 29th, 2019. Been itching to come up here. It looks like we still got quite a bit of snow, but talked to some hikers on the trail. It looks like the trail is pretty clear to Packard Lake, where I'm going to be hiking to. I'll sign in and catch you later. Alright, starting the trail. It's 1:45 p.m. Got a late start, but we don't have too far to go, and the trail says it's easy, so looks like it's all downhill. Hard part will be tomorrow coming out. This is what the trail's looking like so far. Patchy snow, not too bad. All trails list this as a easy hike, so hopefully it is. I just wanted to get in here early to see what the snow levels are doing. Looks like it's patchy snow now, but based on the satellite imagery and the snowtail reports, it looks like it's melting about 3 inches a day, so hopefully the Highline trail trip planned for middle of July will be able to happen if the snow melts off good between now and then. We got a good 20 days of melt, so at the current rate should melt a ton between now and then, so fingers crossed. And it looks like I'm going solo on this trip. Looks like unable to find family members to go this time. But we should be okay because we're within the limit. Oh golly. Alright. Hopefully we won't see any bears coming out of hibernation. I don't know. The trail's pretty watery and muddy right now, but still pretty easy. Looks like this area has a 200-foot camping from all water sources, so I have to keep that in mind. Well, this is the third tree crossing the trail, so it doesn't look like Forest Service has made it up here yet to do trail cleanup. But with trees and these standing deadwoods, I'm gonna have to be careful where we make our camp, so we don't end up having one come down on our camp in the night. That would really ruin your evening. I normally don't come up to this part of the Uintas because there's so many people. It's so accessed by the highway. But being so early in the year, with snow covering part of the Trailhead parking lot and snow on the trail, I think it's a deterrent for some people. So hopefully it won't be too busy today. But as it warms up and the Uintas become more accessible, we'll be looking for areas that are more remote than this. So far there's been a whole bunch of this snow crossings over the trail. It's not too bad. I'm sinking in a little bit, but only where the sun's beating down on it and near the edge you post hole in like that. for the most part, it's not too bad. So I guess every now and again, when you're hiking these trails, you should do a 360. Because I saw on the one of the hiker forums on Facebook that I think it was Hiking Utah Facebook page, they showed a picture of a black bear following a hiker down the trail. He didn't know it. He was just hiking along, the bear's following behind him. I don't know what happened, but it's kind of a fun picture to see, but not fun if you're the guy being followed by a bear, I guess. So here I'm checking on my inReach Garmin. I sent out a satellite communication to home, and it looks like I got a message back, so I'll check it. And the new message is right there. Oops. If you hit select on that, you'll be able to read it. Said, "Be safe, love you." Awesome. Just wanted to comment on this Garmin inReach Explorer 2. This unit right here. That thing right there, I think, is a must for any outdoors person that likes to hike or boat or whatever, where you're maybe off grid and you don't have access to cell phone coverage. It's a great way to get word out via text or even an SOS button if in distress. Doesn't mean you can do stupid stuff. It just means that you have another option for survival if you need it. This is great. Hey, looks like first stream crossing coming up. And of course, it's got a bridge. Oh, look at that water. Freaking awesome. Well, we got another stream crossing. Looks like the bridge this time is almost underwater. I'll bet it was entirely underwater just last week. More snow. Looks like a pretty good meadow over there. Probably have some wildlife in there in the morning and evenings. Some moose and some elk maybe. I don't know, let's see if we can cross this. So last fall they had a fire called the Murdoch Fire, which happened down canyon from here. It looks like it made it all the way to here before it fizzled out just before winter. Because they never did put it out, it burned out as winter came on. It looks like the fire maybe could have done some good though. It could have burned up some of this dead wood, but I don't know. Well, it looks like I made it to Scudder Lake. I don't know if there's any fish in there, but maybe I'll try fishing it on the way out tomorrow. got to be fish in it. Doesn't every lake have a fish in it? We'll see. So that's pretty cool. Looks like the fire got the rocks hot enough to expand or something, and then the water got underneath it and made the rock pop apart when it froze. It's pretty cool. It's everywhere. All these rocks are that way. Well, I went through about 3/4 of a mile of burnt forest. Looks like we're starting to see a little bit of green coming through. A little forest revitalization. It's pretty neat. I'll bet later in the spring or later in the summer, this will be just as green as can be. Right now it's just starting. Got stuff right there, right there. That right there is pretty awesome. Well, looks like our bridge is burned out from the fire, and it leaves us with water that is high in minerals, specifically iron. It's probably good for you, isn't it? Oh my goodness, look what I found. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. Maybe a little bit right there. And maybe all of that for that matter. It's a mosquito breeding facility. It's a good thing I stopped and looked at the map, because this says Packard Lake this way, but don't look like any trail. So I might have to bushwhack and use the GPS to get to where I need to go, if that's what the trail is going to look like. But anyway, that trail there is a Highline trail. Hopefully, with any luck, I'll be coming back from there the end of July. Well, I bushwhacked 20 yards and found what appears to be the trail, so I guess I won't have to use the GPS as much as I thought. You're looky there. That tree's got a butt. It looks like I made it to Wyman Lake. I think I'm going to move on to Packard Lake first, maybe come back here, depending on what the other one looks like. Well, the last part of this trail is unnavigatable. It's like going bushwhacking. There's a bunch of deadfalls, and I don't know. I know where the lake is based on the map, so maybe I'll just head that way, but geez. Being a dead-end trail to Packard Lake, it must not get much use because it's a dead-end trail, so see if we can get to the lake. Well, after a fair amount of bushwhacking through that, which there's definitely not a trail there, even though the map says there is. FYI, if anybody hikes this, you're bushwhacking because there's no trail. That adds to the adventure. Hopefully, this lake will produce some fish like those guys at the Trailhead said they caught this morning, so let you know. Alright. Not a bad little fish. And I got another one. This one's a little bigger. It's not a bad little brookie right there. Oh, baby. Another one. Number 3. Another brookie. Pretty. All right, let's see if we can catch a fish. Oh, baby. Heck yeah. I'm a fighter. Look at that beauty right there. Nice one. Catching them a dime a dozen out of here. And yet another. This one's prettier than the others though. This one's super dark. Brilliant colors. Oh yeah. That's what we're talking about right there. So pretty. Wow, and big too. Settle down there. Settle down. Look at the colors on that. That is pretty. Roll over. Yeah, oh well. There we go. So this is the river that comes out of Packard Lake. Looks like it goes right into a waterfall. Goes off yonder. And get a closer look. Holy cow. How cool is that? goodness. That's a long ways down right there. Wow, look at how pretty that valley is. Even with the fire. That's super neat right there. Check out that angle. That's pretty cool. So pretty. Awesome. So we'll go get what I stowed away in the snow. It's like a refrigerator. It's kind of nice going early in the year because there's piles of snow that you can put your drink in. What do you need to bring a drink for? So you can celebrate the fishing. 10 fish in about 2 hours. It's pretty good odds. Pretty nice fish too. So right inside there, I don't know if you can see it, but see if I can get it out of there. Coke Zero, baby. On Lake Packard. Whoa. I promise it's not spiked. By the way, Coke Zero, freaking cold. And delicious. I think that this lake is probably good enough to bring the kids back, or the wife back. Maybe have some pretty good chances of getting some fish. It's close to the road. It's not too hard of a hike. There is some ups and downs, but the view here is amazing. I don't know if you can see it behind me. It is pretty. Yeah, leave it up to the Uintas. Seems like every evening it rains, even in the middle of the summer. Crazy place. Super hot earlier. But the rain just kind of just blows on through and then goes away. I am the Green Julio. I will come to you in your worst nightmares. Super light rain on the water. Looks like I got a little bit of a storm blowing in. Hopefully it won't stay very long, but checked the weather report, it said 10% chance, so it must be in 10% of the area. So it looked like I had a little bit of a storm coming in or something. So I used my Garmin, love this device by the way, and I sent a request for weather to my location, and I got a response back. It says today we're supposed to have a little bit of rain. If I go to that, it tells me that the percentage of rain is pretty low, but can happen. But nothing super pressing coming my way, so I don't need to worry too much about it. Anyway, this Garmin's pretty cool. And the weather, it's not so cool. Well, as you can probably hear, I got a little bit of rain. So what's nice about this Big Agnes tent is you can take down the tent underneath the rain fly, so you can keep your tent dry. So all you have to put away wet is your rain fly, and you can dry that out when you get home. So I'm loving this tent. So as you can see, I started taking the straps off the poles so I can drop the tent inside the rain fly. Everything else is inside the vestibule staying dry. And then you can put the tent away dry. Well, I'm all packed up. I'm still experiencing 100% rain in 10% of the area, so I think I probably ought to head out of here before a big gusher comes along. Well, there's a light rain on Packard Lake. Hopefully, Wyman Lake and Wilder Lake, it'll let up the rain a little bit so I have a chance to fish them. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to go on a hunch. I'm thinking that because I had so much trouble finding the trail over that ridge to get to this lake, I think I'm going to start here, follow this contour line around to this other lake. I'm thinking that's what most people are doing, and that's why that trail up on this ridge line up there is non-existent. And I did see a little bit of a trail down here on this south end of the lake, so I'm going to go explore it and see where it goes. I have a hunch that it'll go right to that lake and to the main trail. We'll see. Looks like I had a visitor last night. I ought to heard something, but looks like there's some deer that came through here too. So it looks like probably either a moose or an elk, and for sure a deer. Well, the rain has let up a little bit. Looks like I'm starting to get a little bit of blue sky. I fished the perimeter of this Wyman Lake for about 15 minutes or so, no luck. But I'll give it a little bit longer and then we'll move on to the next lake. Well, I made it back out to Scudder Lake. I was going to fish it, but looks like this impending storm, 10% chance of rain, is here. So I'm just going to keep moving. Well, the rain is definitely here to stay for the rest of this trip. I'm about a mile from the truck. I wouldn't normally hike without my rain gear in the rain, but it's pretty refreshing. Temperature's good, close to the truck, so I'm not worried about getting too cold or wet. But it's been a fun trip. Okay, I just want to say this is my first year using trekking poles. Man, I'll tell you, saved my bacon more than once on this trip. Hiking in the rain and the mud and the slick rocks and stream crossings, you know, it's kept me from falling a few times. Just gotta keep my balance better with 4 points of contact to the ground. Anyway, anybody doesn't hike with trekking poles in these conditions, maybe you should consider it. Aside from being rained on all day, this 10% chance of rain, which happened to be 100. Pretty sure I didn't misread it, but you never know in the Uintas. The trail was pretty good. Fishing was great at Packard Lake. The views were awesome. Waterfall at the end was super neat. Only saw about 6 people on the trail, and all of those were heading out. So all in all, pretty good trip.